So we have a new console coming out this October, and I'm not talking about the PlayStation 5 or the Xbox Series X. No, we're talking about the Intellivision Amico, which is supposed to be a modern iteration of the original Intellivision, which was released in the late 70s, around the time of the Atari 2600. And the way this console is being marketed is that it's going to bring back a lot of the magic that you saw in the second generation, where all the games that were released back then were very simple, they were easy to pick up, and it was really good with 4 players. So it's trying to bring back couch co-op and bring back the simplicity of console gaming, because we know consoles have become more and more like PCs over the years, and having a console that's more simple might appeal to some people, but ultimately, I think this console is going to fail just like the other upstart consoles that we've had in recent years, like the Ouya, the Game Stick, the Coleco Chameleon, which was just a scam. It wasn't even a real thing. It was just a scam to get you to give them money. And the Atari VCS, which isn't out yet, but who are we kidding? That console is definitely going to fail. I think this Intellivision Amico, honestly, has a better chance of succeeding, because at least they're showing the games that are coming out on that platform, and it kind of has an identity while the VCS doesn't. But I still think this console has a lot of things going against it. First of all, the price. $250 is way too much for a console like this that is underpowered, has a very limited gameplay experience. You can only play 2D games that are all simple and easy to pick up, which again might be appealing to a lot of people, especially the old retro gamers and maybe some families, but for $250, that's really pushing it. I understand it's a small company, they're essentially an upstart, because the original Intellivision was a property of Mattel, and Mattel obviously has got nothing to do with this. This is pretty much a new company that's using the Intellivision name, and because they're a small company, they obviously need to be more concerned with their profit margins when it comes to the sale of the console. Companies like Sony and Microsoft, they can easily sell their consoles at a loss, but these small companies, that's a big disadvantage that they have, because they have to charge more in order to make enough money to stay in business. But the flip side is that price point is going to turn a lot of people away. So while I think the games are reasonably priced, around $3 to $10, which is great for the types of games they're selling, perfect, but the cost of the actual system itself is way too high. I think $200 or maybe even $150 would be a much better price point than the current $250, especially with the new consoles coming out. We still don't know how much they're going to cost. Obviously, they're not trying to compete with Sony and Microsoft, but I feel like with the casual market that they're trying to appeal to, with the families and the couch co-op and all that, their biggest competition will probably be the Nintendo Switch, a system that does a much better job appealing to the casual market than Sony and Microsoft do with their Nintendo exclusives and the features of the portability and everything, you know, switching, having the dock mode and all that. All these cool features that the Switch has is very appealing to average people. Okay, so as it stands right now, the Switch is priced around $300. I'm sure over time that price is eventually going to come down. I know Nintendo has been very stubborn with their price recently, but it's eventually going to come down, especially with the PS5 and Series X coming out. Nintendo would want to remain competitive and cut their price down to increase their sales. But even if they don't, let's say the Switch remains at $300. That's what, a $50 difference, and you get so much more with the Switch than you do for this Intellivision console. The Switch's games look far more appealing. The overall experience on the Switch is far more appealing to more people than what they're offering with this console. And if you have to choose between the Amico and the Nintendo Switch, the choice to me is pretty easy. It would be one thing if the console was much cheaper in price, but let's say it was $150, which I think is a lot more reasonable. You still have to compete for attention with Sony and Microsoft, who are releasing new consoles this year, that even if they come up with something really cool, people might just not care because they're more interested in the other consoles that have a much larger presence in the console market, that nobody's even going to have time to care about another console. Because let's say the console's cheap enough, but you want to have the PlayStation 5 and that costs $400, $500, an extra even $150, that might be so unappealing that you'd rather just buy PlayStation 5 games than another console on top of the PS5. You know what I'm saying? So any way you slice it, I don't think this console has a chance of ever succeeding, but I want to know what you guys think about the Intellivision Amico. Do you think it can do well? Do you plan on getting one? Let me know in the comments down below. Thank you all for watching, and I'll catch you all later. Bye.